I have a confession to make. For a long time, I haven't really been trying. It could just be the natural ebb and flow of motivation. It could be that I'm generally less bothered about the aesthetic presentation of my physique these days. Or it could be that I've just been more focused on other things. The reasons are irrelevant. The point is, for a while now, I've just been kinda going through the motions with lifting. But one question that I would like to answer, just for myself to satisfy my curiosity, is what happens if you do actually try? Given that I haven't made a single gain in over 5 years, I'm moderately concerned that the answer to that question may indeed be nothing. Nothing happens. And if that is the case, it's fine, at least I'll know, but I won't know if I don't try. So I think I'm gonna try. Bum, 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 bum. I should explain what I mean when I say I haven't really been trying, because I still have been doing most things right. I've been following a program, I've been tracking my lifts, my training intensity is good, my sleep's good, most things are good. But to me, trying isn't really an objective term. To try is to find something difficult, it's to be challenged. So in an objective sense, it might just be more accurate for me to say there are some inefficiencies in my training and diet that I intend to remedy in an effort to see if that makes a difference to my physique. Or in other words, I'm gonna try being optimal. See, the truth is, when you get in great shape, just forgive my arrogance for a second, let's speak plainly among friends. When you get in great shape, like me, it becomes really quite difficult to improve upon that. And also, there seems to be very little real world benefit of doing so. Whereas simply maintaining is actually quite easy, and so the temptation is just to maintain, and that is a temptation that I have succumbed to. But no more. I'm now approaching 33 years old, I have a baby boy on the way, and I'm only getting busier and busier with this app company. And so whilst it might not strictly be true, I kind of see this as the last opportunity for me to get in my best shape ever. There was a time years ago where I used to try and beat my physique every year. Now that stopped when it just became really unachievable for me. But I just want to have one last go at that. So I'm going to try and do that. Let me quickly just tell you about those inefficiencies I mentioned. Skipping workouts. This will make zero difference here and there, but I've been taking liberties with it. There was a period towards the end of last year when I went a couple of months, probably averaging 3 sessions per week. Now that is enough to stay in good shape. It's enough to get in good shape if you're not already. But for me, at this stage, it's not enough to actually improve. Skipping exercises. Sometimes I get to the end of my workout and I think, I can't be arsed with this. And then I just swerve the last few sets of that last exercise. And that is what we call not ideal. Protein intake. I've been too laid back about missing my protein goal. Most of the time I don't actually track, but even during periods when I do, I find myself going under too often. Injuries. This isn't a lack of raw physical effort, but more the effort it takes to implement a bit of patience and some good practices. I've had quite a few little injuries here and there, which are never that bad, but I do shoot myself in the foot because I don't give them adequate time to heal, and I sometimes try and do too much too fast. I need to get on top of it. Supplements. I don't take everything I should, and even what I do take, I can be inconsistent with. Here's something for you. I've been really long periods without even taking creatine, right? A fitness YouTuber who literally gets supplements for free can't even be bothered to take one of the most well-researched and effective legal supplements available. That is just utter lunacy. Neglecting muscle groups. Yeah, I'm talking about abs pretty much. I ditch the ab work far too often because I take it for granted that they'll just always be there. They probably will, but it's worth seeing if making an effort to train them more consistently makes a difference. And there are a few other minor things, but let me just clarify. These are things that most people can get away with and do not need to worry about. The things that I can obviously get away with, but if I want to get closer to optimal, I should address them. Let's just get to the plan. So after a long time, I have gone back to a push-pull leg split, which looks like this.
I have said many times that I think in identical conditions, a well-designed full body program might be marginally better. However, I also think the difference isn't really significant, so you should choose whichever you enjoy most, because that enjoyment itself will likely have knock-on effects that outweigh any inherent difference between the types of training split. For example, you're going to get better pumps doing a PPL split just because of how the muscles you train are grouped together. Maybe you enjoy that pump, who doesn't, maybe it motivates you, and maybe it makes you that bit more engaged with your workouts. After years of following a full body split, I'm just kind of bored of it. I think and hope this change will increase my enthusiasm for workouts and follow through into actual results. It's a 6-day split, but I'll only be training 5 times a week, so my training week will roll over into the following calendar week. I understand that triggers some people, but I mean, if you want to just ask yourself some philosophical questions like, what even is a Tuesday, then you'll soon discover that it doesn't really exist, so no need to be constrained by the concepts of human date keeping, or whatever. I'm also going to be training much more in the actual gym. Being busy, I have relied heavily on my home gym over the past few months, which is great, but there's just something about being in a gym atmosphere that you cannot replicate. Not to mention the gym I train at is full of seriously good equipment. Any gym equipment nerds out there will appreciate the standard of Atlantis, Prime USA and Watson machines. I don't want to make out that you need these by any means to get in great shape, but you know, well-designed gym equipment that's made with consideration for the biomechanics involved in the movement is just one of those cherry on top kinds of things that can make maybe a really small difference when you're talking about the fine margins of being optimal. I dislike using the word optimal. I'm being semi-ironic when I say that, but you know what I'm saying.
There aren't really that many changes that I can make to my diet. I will certainly try harder to hit my protein goal every single day without fail. I will try to make up the majority of that from bioavailable sources. Otherwise, I don't really think there's much to optimize on this front. I already eat a high fiber, nutrient dense diet, which I'll continue to do. I do indulge here and there, what can I say? I like cookies, but it's not at the expense of anything else, and it's not to the point where it's gonna make any difference to my physique when my calories and macros are still accounted for. This brings me to a bit of an elephant in the room. You see, the real way to improve on my physique, the thing that I would advise somebody else in my shoes to do if they wanted to hit the next level, is bulk for a long time. I'm talking years, because as a natural who's been lifting for over 15 years, that's likely what it would take to make any noticeable gains that you're actually gonna keep hold of after you've cut back down again. Now, I am simply not prepared to do this for many reasons. The main one being it's super boring, which is really why it's difficult. What I am going to do is keep my calories roughly around maintenance so that I can see if tidying up all these other inefficiencies elsewhere actually makes a difference to my body composition on its own. The risk, of course, is that it won't. It's a possibility that a prolonged period in a caloric surplus is the only real way to improve my physique. Now, if that turns out to be the case, I'll just have to come to terms with the psychological implications of only being in ridiculously good shape as opposed to really ridiculously good shape. So, you know, life is somewhat tough. Alright, I'm going to talk about supplements. Now, this is an area where I think I can make up some ground. As mentioned, I am indeed back on the creatine now, so obviously just don't inform my mother on me because I can't really be bothered with the hassle of another family intervention. I'm also going to be taking some citrulline malate pre-workout. Now, it doesn't seem like that has any real significant effect on performance, at least none that holds up under scrutiny. But if it does help you get a better pump, then who doesn't want that? I certainly do want that. Everything else that I take is geared more towards general health considerations than any specific physique related goals. However, you can't always really entirely separate the two of those, because your general health can of course have knock-on effects on your ability to train and recover. Just as an example, it's possible that ashwagandha can have a small effect on your test levels. Now, whilst I would consider that a general health point, it may of course have an effect on your body composition. The same goes for zinc. If you're deficient in that, it can negatively affect your test. Now, the good news is you're probably not deficient in it, at least if you eat plenty of fruit and veg. I highly doubt that I am, but As I mentioned earlier, I get supplements for free, so it's kind of worth it for me just to have that insurance policy. Then we have some curcumin for inflammation, some fish oils for loads of stuff, and a general multivit that is probably redundant because I do indeed smash the veg. I'm not going to go into a deep dive on these individually. Examine.com is a great resource if you want to do some reading. I'm not telling you to buy anything. Exercise your own free will and judgment. So for the entirety of this video, I've been talking in future tense, as in I'm going to do this or I will do that. But to tell you the truth, I've actually already been doing everything that I've talked about for a few months now. I just figured I'd actually do it for a while before making a video about it, because I didn't know if it was going to be this brief wave of enthusiasm, and I thought it was probably worth making sure about that before I go around telling YouTube that, you know, I'm going to get in my best shape ever, whatever the fuck that means, right? Now, I don't know if I'm imagining things. I don't know, maybe it's placebo, maybe it's the creatine kicking in. Secretly, I'm really quite hopeful about that. But I think I can tell a difference, right? I'm about 2 pounds lighter now than when I finished this mini cut that I did in January. So I'm floating around 170 pounds, which is quite typical for me. But at this body weight, just looking at myself, I feel like I have a better body composition than I've had for a long time. So I'm not going to show you yet because I want to carry on for a while. But, you know, I feel good. Like, I feel like there might just be a chance that towards summertime, we all get to witness peak Joey D, right? So that's exciting. Obviously, my hope is that you also achieve peak viewer, peak archetypal YouTube Joe Delaney YouTube channel viewer, peak you. Let's all be peak as fuck, mate.
Joe Delaney is my hero.